Hello?
Hey,
Good morning and welcome back, everyone, to yet another Agent Call review. This is something that everyone should have their mentor do for them. Whether it's a good call or a bad call, knowing what you're doing wrong is the first step to doing what is actually right. Remember, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence isn't an act, it's a habit. I'm Ryan Valet, your FEXpert or final expense expert, and I have actually made over 20 grand a month for 3+ years as an agent myself off of client booked appointments only. Now my goal is to help as many agents as I can understand how to truly make a living selling final expense life insurance, whether you're sitting at your desk in a cubicle or dialing in your underwear at home. Please do me a favor, like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Let's get into it, guys.
well, I'm calling about the request you put in for final expense options. I see here that you're waiting on your hide.
Yeah,
Okay, great. So how long have you been looking into final expenses?
a while now. I think you said yours was like $50.
Well, the options are based on age and health. I will have to, so I'm gonna have to ask you some questions, and this call is being recorded for quality assurance, so just bear with me. How old are you? And what is your date of birth?
On Thursday.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
So you said it was, okay, yeah, congratulations. And I have heard that is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Got it. And do you smoke? Great. Congratulations.
I don't
Any
smoke.
plans?
I don't drink. I don't do drugs.
That is amazing.
It's a blessing. I get in enough trouble by myself. I don't need any help.
Yeah. Any plans for your birthday?
Mm-hmm.
Any plans?
Yeah, I'm going to go to Cheesecake Factory and have a slice of cheesecake.
I love Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah.
Who's taking you there?
I'm meeting up with some friends.
Wow, that is so nice.
Yeah, and then I have another question for my husband when we get done with me.
Yeah, of course. So I'm entering your info. Again, the call has been recorded, so in case you miss it, my name and I'm with.
Mm-hmm.
So, are you aware of what is the difference in between term and whole life insurance?
And what does the whole life mean?
So whole life means that it doesn't terminate. It stays with you for your whole life. So it will never expire, and the price will never increase based on your age and health. Term is just the opposite. It terminates, and we don't want that for final expenses. Because say you have a term policy for 5 or 10 years. After the 10 years it expires, all the contributions you put towards the payout are gone. So you don't have anything for your final expenses. Are you with me?
Yes.
So everything we're going to talk about here is whole life, where those are oftentimes advertised on TV, and we're not like them. This is whole life, so it will pay out guaranteed. So you are still very young.
I was also told that if you die before 5 years into paying your thing, they don't pay out. Is that true?
No, that is not true. Whole life, it doesn't matter if you die a year from now or 20 years from now, it will pay out guaranteed.
Okay.
So, but that's something that that is anyways based on your health and your age. And I would like to ask you some questions regarding your health so that I can give you better numbers. Do you take a lot of meds or only a few, or none at all?
Really, it's just what do you call it? I cannot
Ozempic?
figure out why the doctor has me on the heart pressure because my heart pressure is usually low. My blood pressure is low, but they have me taking high blood pressure medicine. But I don't know if it's just because I'm taking the Ozempic. And that's it.
Okay, that's it. Wow, that's amazing. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Some people are like taking like 25 meds. So the way to go about it is just list the medications. And have you been on this med for more than 2 years?
So
Ozempic?
Ozempic could be it hasn't been 1 year yet. It took me a long time to get.
Okay.
Ozempic is for the diabetes though, not for weight loss.
Right, right. So this type of final expense coverage doesn't require a medical exam. So what we do is that we enter the medications you take. So is that it? I mean, this is as good as it can get.
It's for the diabetes. The high blood pressure is supposed to be whatever the doctor put me on it for. And then they check my heart, but they can't find anything, so I'm fine with my heart. I just check in. So, and I guess that goes along. And I can't think of anything else. Oh, cholesterol. They have, and I guess everybody should. But anyway, little vitamins, and stuff like just vitamins, basically. After that.
Okay, great. Wow. And if your husband is like that, are you both like a power couple when it comes to health? You guys are that healthy?
No, my husband's a whole different story. I would have to try to find and dig out all his pills.
I see. Okay, yeah, I was going to tell you that. Usually when people have a lot of meds to take, I just tell them, hey, go and grab them all and let's read off the labels because sometimes the spelling can get confusing too, right? So.
Yeah, but he's not here. He took his medicine with him. But he's a heart patient. He's had a heart surgery and stuff like that.
Okay. And now when it comes
to your find covered for him, but I can find for me. Because the only reason why I looked at you guys because I have one already and it's only $20,000. And we just did a funeral for someone and it cost more than $20,000.
Yes, that is correct. That is correct. Funeral expenses are going up every year, and you're correct. So $20,000 is not enough nowadays. So you're looking to add into what you currently have, right?
Yeah, I was looking to see if I can add on or if you guys were, whatever.
Yeah. So I'll explain. We're a broker here in the state of Washington, and what we do is that we compare out more than 40 companies for you. That means we get you qualified for the best rate possible with the best carrier. All our carriers are A-rated, and they have been in the market for more than 50 to 100 years, okay?
Okay.
So with regards to the current policy that you got, is it already paid, or you're still making payments towards it?
I'm still making payments. It's only $17 a month.
17 or 70?
No, 17 under $20 a month. I pay.
Okay. So is that term?
$20,000. It's $20,000 policy.
Okay.
But again,
how long have you?
I've had it. Oh my gosh, I've had it for like I want to say almost 3 years now.
3 years. Okay. So this seems, based on the price you're giving me, $17 per month for $20,000. It seems to be a term policy. As I told you, this type of policies terminate regardless of the years that you have for this policy. Once you hit 85, it terminates. So term policies are not issued beyond the 85 years after you are 85 years. They stop once you are 85. And what happens is people say, hey, you can renew it there. Well, yes and no. You can renew it, but then you have to go to the physical exam. And of course, when you go through that physical exam at 60, it's not the same as going through a physical exam at 85. So the rates go up. And at that point, people are trying to sell you whole life insurance. So it's much better to get whole life insurance now than when you're 85. Okay?
Okay.
So with that said, I see that you're already paying a premium for one policy. I want to, like most of the people I work with are on a fixed income. They are getting Social Security payments or disability payments. So it is very important for me to get something that you can afford because I don't want you to not be able to make a payment 1 month and then the policy lapses. So you don't want that. I don't want that. I just want to make sure that I get something that is affordable to you on a monthly basis. So is there a range that you can tell me that you will be comfortable paying monthly so that I can look into numbers for you?
Monthly is fine.
All right, so the first thing that I want to go over is where all calls start and create that first impression. So it's really important whenever you open a call that you always start it with confidence and clarity. So the way he opened the call was, yeah, you were looking into final expense options. So in this case, it's not so much about the words that are being said, it's about how they're being said. Tonality is everything. And when you hear that, as he said it, you could probably tell that it was slightly awkward. So you always want to say that in a way that sounds confident and lets the client know that they were truly looking into something. The opening line should always go like this. Hey, Miss Betty, this is Ryan. I was just giving you a call about that request you put in. You were looking into final expense options. Notice the tonality, the comfortability, the confidence in you were looking into this, right? It's okay if you don't give them very long to acknowledge and you just jump right into the validation stage. The important part is that you sound confident, you state what you're calling for with clarity, and you use the right tonality. So the next thing was she started to ask about, yeah, I think you had such and such ad 50,000 for $17 or something like that, which is insane. There's a lot of ads out there. It does not matter what that lead says. The only thing that matters is that it's about final expense and that they filled it out. So you know they filled it out because you've got the form. You know you've confirmed that she's looking into it because you mentioned final expenses. So once you've got those things confirmed, it doesn't matter what she saw. These people see so many different advertisements that if you get fixated on whatever exactly the ad states, it doesn't matter. Always keep in mind the ad could say $2 million for $1 a month. That doesn't mean that everybody can get that because think about advertising. You can't advertise to everybody individually. So when she brings that up, you don't want to give that question any substance. Now he did good stating that yeah, it's all based on your age and health, but you could tell that he became a little more fixated on that and started talking about how it's about age and health and I would need to get some health details and it caused him to jump more or less right into the health stage. Just keep in mind, if ever a client is so focused on exactly what the ad states, just ignore it, acknowledge, and move on. The easiest way to move past that is, yeah, absolutely. I'm sure you see a lot of ads, and my goal is just to make sure that we're getting you the absolute best and move on to the rest of the script. Don't let a question like that lead you to believe that all they care about is price. Yes, sometimes all they care about is price. However, you have to be strong in the fact that it doesn't matter whether they want it for $17 a month, whether they want $2 million for $1 a month, doesn't mean they're going to get it. You could want a Mercedes Benz, but if you can't afford it, there's no sense in sitting here talking about it day in and day out. Unfortunately, it seems like that kind of led him into the health questions right away. He was trying to build rapport, which is great. You should absolutely build rapport. The biggest critique that I would have about the rapport was he made the comment about the Cheesecake Factory and how he liked it. That's perfect. Taking it a little too far is, so who are you taking with you? Yes, it's great to conversate. However, the more questions you start to ask in that situation, the more you start to go down the friend zone. And we all know where that leads you, typically leads you to no sale. So always keep that in mind when you're trying to build rapport. Building rapport is having a conversation throughout the script. You'll notice that he skipped the why. So it's really important to figure out why they're looking into this. She starts talking about her husband, which is great to let her know that, hey, look, I can help you both. I can make sure to take care of you both. But you do need to know why she's looking into it. She starts talking about how she's already got it. So she's already got a why. Pull that out and talk to her about that a little bit. As soon as you jump right into health and jump and trying to push for that quote, that's all the call becomes about. And so therefore that's all the client focuses on. And that's the last thing you want. You have to let them know that you're there to try and help them. Now he does great, a phenomenal job explaining term and whole life. You know, she was kind of a little confused, and he did a great job kind of weaving around it. He didn't say it exactly how the script is. He said the words, but he didn't say it in the exact order, and that's perfectly fine. He did state what was necessary, talking about whole life and term. The one little critique that I would make there is when he started talking about, well, for final expense, this is what we want, and this is how we want it. It is really important not to shoot yourself in the foot. It may seem like kind of a minor statement that he made. However, it could be detrimental to the sale. She could have in her mind that she absolutely wants term, doesn't know the difference between the two, but absolutely wants term. Now that he starts talking about final expense and whole life, and that's all it's going to be, now she could easily be thinking, well, I don't want to do business with this guy. That's exactly what I was wanting. I was wanting term. Your goal is to explain the two and let them pick. Now, we're also trying to walk them into a decision, but that doesn't mean that you should just tell her, no, you can't get this, or this is exactly what we're looking for. Again, he did a great job explaining them. Just that little tweak there that I would recommend, making sure not to, I like to say pigeonhole, you know, I like to say pigeonhole the options, meaning you say that whole life is great, or like in this case, he states that whole life is the best for final expense. Now, if she winds up wanting a term for some reason, it's going to be tough to sell her one way or the other. Now you got to kind of pivot and make term sound great. One of the things that he was doing was kind of making statements. Whole life is this. There was a couple other statements that he had in there that he was basically just telling her how things were. And he did ask, you know, essentially, so what do you think of that? But keep in mind, we're here to be less advisors and more guides to helping them understand the options. I like to ask, you know, does that make sense? So whenever it comes to term and whole life, do you know the difference? Okay, so essentially term is short for terminates. Whole life means it goes your whole life. For example, whenever they started talking about her current policy, he starts making kind of assumptions of, well, that must be a term because it's super cheap. Not necessarily. She may think that she got it 3 years ago, but she actually got it 30 years ago. She may think that it's $17 and it's really $50. There's a whole lot of factors there that you can't always take their exact word for it, and you really need to get to the bottom of it. You need to understand what she has before she can really make a solid decision as to what is best for her. And what I mean by that is you need to know, does she really have term? Is it really the amount that she is talking about? I mean, heck, is it only $17, but it's half the amount of coverage that she thinks it is? So not ever all those details can you find out, but when you're asking questions, lob in questions like, so yeah, I forgot which one of our companies did you go with? Or yeah, who'd you say before that you actually got that with? So clearly she didn't say who it was with, but make it sound like you guys already talked about it. She's more likely to tell you if you make it seem like it was already part of the conversation. The frame of mind I always have with the questions that I ask is my goal is to understand what they have so I can make a good recommendation. Once I've got the facts, I'm going to be honest with you as to whether what you got is the best. Your goal is to really find out the facts so you can help them make an educated decision. One of the things he did really good was he added in some little compliments there. That is always good to pepper in comment. That is always good to pepper in compliments anywhere you can. You don't want to do it so much that you sound fake, but let them know that, hey, look, you're doing good. You're making the right decision. Wow, you're really smart. You've already got a policy in place, and that's important. So again, really great job there.
are you comfortable paying monthly for?
No,
Say, I don't know,
I don't want to go over $50. Put it that way.
you don't want to go over $50. Okay. And how much are you thinking about adding to your current policy? So you have 20,000 in place. Are you seeking to add 10,000 more, 15,000 more, another 20,000?
20,000 would be nice, but
20,000.
whatever is reasonable. I'm not, you know.
Okay. Okay, let's see what we can get among the more than 40 carriers, okay? So, and are you having for your birthday, are you bringing your husband with you, or is it gonna be ladies
Oh,
only?
yeah. Yeah, he'll be there. Hopefully, if he doesn't work too much.
How old is he? Are you closing age or?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I was
He
gonna
says
say.
he'll be here.
Okay.
Different.
hmm So I want you to grab a pen and a piece of paper for me, and I'm gonna give you some options, and I want to see what makes the most sense to you. Okay?
Hold on a second.
And in the meantime, I'm gonna ask you some questions very briefly. We already entered your meds. It was more to find out your meds, but I do have to ask you these questions for quality assurance. I'm gonna be very brief, read them really quick.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Okay.
That phone is probably going to die pretty soon. That's one reason why I didn't answer it earlier.
Okay. Are you able to charge it as we speak?
No, because then you're not going to hear me.
Okay. So as I get these numbers for you, if we get something that it makes sense to you, is there any reason why you wouldn't like to see if you get qualified and start the e-app, the application?
Okay, let's see.
Is there any reason why not?
Oh, I don't get paid until Thursday, but go ahead and just tell me what your numbers are.
Okay, just to make sure, if we submit an app, it's not to make you pay. It is just so that we can log in the option you choose. Payment is done whenever you choose. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So no payment is due today. So write down for me 14,724.
14,000 what?
724.
That's how much you would add on. This is one of the.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you three options. Just leave a space right next to it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then below that, you're gonna write 25,971. So roughly 26,000. 25,971.
Huh.
And leave a space right next to it.
Mm-hmm.
And below it, you're gonna write 30,000.
How much?
30,000. Mm-hmm. And leave a space right next to it.
Okay. These are the prices that you're off, right?
That's the payout. That's what your family will get if you pass on.
Mm-hmm.
So it's either close to 15,000, close to 26,000, or close to 30,000. And now I'm gonna give you the prices. Now remember, what I'm telling you are whole life policies. These are not term life policies. And also consider that this policy or this option is as of your age right now and your health right now. It's not as when you got this term policy that you got in place. That was a couple of years ago. So that also influences the prices. But so right next to the 14,724, you want to write down 50. Right next to the 25.
So this is whole life. Okay.
This is whole life. Yeah. Right next to the 25,971, you're gonna write 85.
85,000.
I'm sorry. Yeah, $85. No, $85. It's not $85,000.
$85. Okay. $50 for the first one. Okay, I was thinking it was thousands of payout. And then $85 for the 25. Okay, go ahead.
Right. Okay. And then for the $30,000 payout, you're gonna write right next to it $97.54.
Okay. And that's what the price is for these payouts for whole life. What
Yeah,
you gave me was whole life prices. Okay.
it is whole life. Yeah. Now, out of these options, is there anyone that makes sense to you?
If I did this, I would have to hold on to the $20,000 one that I have, because I need to check, because I think that we were right at almost 26,000 to almost 30,000 for the burial. That was the plot, that was the opening and closing the casket, that was the hearse to and from, the wake, or what do you call it, repat, whatever you call that thing, the programs, the announcement into the newspaper. So I think we were right at 30,000, which I don't want my children to be scrambling for anything at all.
Of course, I am not suggesting that you replace that policy with this one. I'm just making sure that you have
I
enough
could not.
and that you have
Yeah.
and that you have beyond your years when you're 85. I mean, you're soon to, but you sound like 25, and on top of that, you're super healthy. I don't come across people like you. I never come across people like you who only has one med. I'm pretty certain you're probably gonna live up to 95, if not more. And I just want to make sure that you have something in place when that happens, right? So right now, you can keep that other policy. God forbids if you pass on at 85 or before, you'll have the
No,
term
that's
policy
not what
and the
I'm
whole life
saying. I would
policy.
have to add to it. I was hoping to get a higher policy. So,
Oh, okay, I see. Well, the
no.
thing how this works, you mean a higher policy? You mean a higher payout than what the term policy
Yes,
you
because I
got?
think that, okay, so I'm thinking the same way. Like, if I live another 10 or 15 years or whatever, inflation, if we're paid 30,000, almost 30,000 in February 2025, right? 10 to 15 years from now, that inflation's going to go up. So that wouldn't even cover a decent burial. And our burial was, granted, we did get a royal blue casket or whatever, but they gave us a discount on it. But at the same time, the flowers, I mean, all that stuff just added up on burial, right?
Of course, of course. So listen, I'm giving you options up to 30,000 just because you told me your budget is 50. So I'm giving you right at the sweet spot of 50, what you can afford.
Yeah.
Now I'm giving you two options that go above your budget. So I didn't want to overdo it and give you even higher options. But I will tell you this, even though funerals are expensive and they are going up in price, I will tell you most policies, they are not beyond 30,000 or 50,000 depending on the carrier, and there is a reason for that. So this is actually made for funerals and cremation. This was not made randomly, right? So nobody wants to get a policy
great if I could talk them into cremating me, you know?
Cremation is much cheaper.
I know.
Cremation is much cheaper.
I know,
And then
but it's the religious belief, though, they won't cremate. But I think it's more, I mean, you know, other countries do it all the time, you know?
Yeah, well, I'm a Christian myself, and I don't see anything against it. But I do respect you doing your research with your church. But what I wanted to tell you is that a policy like this, you can get cremated for $10,000 and then leave 20,000 to your kids, right?
I mean,
and
they
if
could
things
have
go
enough
up
to
in price,
they could have enough to do the service, and I mean,
right.
they could even have the urn paid for, all that, right?
Right. But 30,000 should suffice. I mean, unless you're planning to have like a gun salute and have the funeral in Washington D.C. right next to George Washington and JFK, I don't see a reason why you will need more than 30,000 on top of what you already have. Yeah.
I know, but ours was just so minimum. If you see what we did, it was so minimum, but it seemed like it cost so much. I mean, and I don't know if we got the people that did the service charged us a lot. You know what I mean?
And something that I'm forgetting to tell you is that once you get a policy with us, I'm gonna be here for life for you. So I'll service you. You don't have to reach out to the carrier. I'll do that for you. And in the case you want to increase 5 years from now, 10 years from now, either because you see a need for it or because there is an increase in price, or you wanna, I don't know, if you wanna make the funeral even more spectacular, just reach out to me. We can always increase it. What is important to me is that whatever we choose right now for you is affordable to you in the long term. Because as I told you before, you can get a policy that pays out 50,000. If you cannot afford it, the policy will lapse, you lose the contributions. But if you choose something that is affordable to you, say the $97 or the $85 or the 50, whichever you choose, you call me 5 years from now, we can increase that policy. That is not an issue. But what is important is that you can make the payments, and then if you see need for more room for the finances, for the payout, we can always work it out.
Okay.
So
Well,
with that said,
uh-huh.
is there a particular choice you feel strongly leaning towards?
Um, no, not right now, because I guess I would have to go for the 30,000. So I just need to figure that
Mhm.
out. So it's 30,000, which would be $97 each month.
Okay. And so you need to figure that out. Do you want me to schedule a follow-up call in order to for you to tell me if you want to lock this in? Remember,
Well, I
this
want
changes with time.
Okay, so and then my husband's supposed to be home pretty soon. If you give
hmm
me a call back in about 30 minutes, he
hmm
should be here.
What
So
I'll
then you.
recommend, what I'll recommend is the following. We can get started on the e-app, on the application. Then when your husband comes, if you can decide whatever you want to decide with him. You can put it on pause. We can continue with his. You can take
Uh-huh.
the time to discuss it, but at least we have the information in the application, and we are one step closer to securing these prices for you. Because remember, these are estimates; they change,
Uh-huh.
and I just want to make sure that we lock this in for you.
Can you hold on a minute? Because I do like to have him a part of it. Hold on. Let me just see if I can call him. Hold on.
Sure, not a problem.
Okay, so you can hear where that call went. Unfortunately, she was going to bring her husband in, but never did. It is possible that she was trying to and just dropped the call, although I highly doubt that. So let's take a step back and talk about a few things. One of the mistakes would have been when he asked, how much do they want? How much their budget or how much they're willing to spend is what's most important. I want to explain why it's so important not to ask how much they want. If you focus on their budget and they actually want more, they will tell you. I've had many clients say, yeah, my budget is 50 bucks, but I give them the quotes for 50, around $50. And then they tell me that they actually want more. And when they say, yeah, give me a quote for 30,000 and it's around $100. And I say, hey, look, you said your budget was around 50. Are you sure this is going to be affordable to you? Yeah, I can afford 100. I was just hoping to get it for 50. That's what most people do is they hope to get it for one price and but when they find out they can't, they're like, well, okay, I got to get what I can get. Again, it doesn't matter how much they want, because yet again, if they can't afford it, then there's no sense in talking about it. Another reason for not asking how much they want is because if they want 50,000 and you tell them that 50,000 is $200 a month, very easily terrible taste in their mouth. However, if you talk about their budget and you're talking about something they want, you give them the $100 quote, and now it's only 25,000. Now they're a little more. It's just a softer blow, I guess is the easiest way to put it. And given the fact that it's a softer blow like that, now they can look at it and say, okay, 25,000 is $100. You know what? Let me see what 50 is. I've had a lot of people double the amount of coverage that they want or the amount the amount that they can afford multiple times because they want more. And that's perfectly fine. If you tell me, look, yes, I can afford it, then I have to go by your word. But the last thing you want to do is put a bad taste in their mouth by saying, yeah, 50,000 is $200 a month. Now they're going to be looking at things a little negatively because, well, gosh dang, I was expecting it to be much lower. So always make sure that you're focused on their budget. Another thing, when you run quotes, don't ever run odd amounts. And there's a very good reason for that. When you offer them $14,571, the problem with that is now how are they going to remember how much they have? The more numbers there are, the harder it is for them to remember. If you say 15,000, that's far easier to remember than 14,750. So make sure that your quotes, if their budget is $50, don't be so fixated on that $50 that you've got to have it exactly $50. With the exception of, look, I only want to hear a $50 quote. All right, then fair. Throw them an odd number out, whatever you want to do. But when you're giving quotes, it should be, in this case, she's looking for 50. So let's just say it would be 12,000, 14,000, and 16,000. So the 14,000 is the closest to $50. You want to make sure that, again, it's the least confusing as possible, because the moment you confuse them, the less likely they are to buy. One of the really good things that I want to point out is that he kind of weaved in some questions about her husband and then wound up finding out his age. It was a perfect way to figure out what his age was, and you should take notes on that. He kind of weaved in a few questions. Oh, is the husband going with you for your birthday, or is it just girls' night out? And then, well, how much older is your husband? He should be doing that throughout the entire call with every question that he is asking, so that way it feels conversational. A great way that he built trust was by telling her that she needs to keep what she has. He was literally telling her, no, I'm not suggesting you get rid of that. You should absolutely keep that. Now, granted, like I said before, he should have found out exactly what it is, or at least tried to get more details on it. But at least he's not trying to make it sound terrible so that way she does cancel it. He could probably get more coverage if he really made it sound terrible. And that's not the right thing to do. He was kind of starting to talk about how, well, you don't really need that much for burial, and that's really expensive, or an extra 30,000 should be plenty. But then he followed it up with, I want to let you know that I'm going to be here for life. So if you ever want to add to it, I'm always going to be here to help you add to it. So let's get what you can afford. I would have recommended to start off that way, because that's really what's most important. And I think that's why he brought it up, because it kind of flashed in his mind. Wait, I think I might be focusing on the right thing. Phenomenal. It's always great to course correct. Now, one of the biggest takeaways that I want everybody to hear is her responses. If you truly listen to this client, she is not really engaged. You can't get everybody to have a super light, jovial conversation with you, but you can get them more engaged by asking more engaging questions, not just focusing on the quote, not just focusing on what they want to hear, focusing on what's the process. I need to figure out what exactly is best for this lady. Why does she need so much damn insurance? Why in the world is her funeral going to cost so much? Have a little conversation about that. Find out what the situation is. Maybe she's wanting Elton John to sing at her funeral. Who knows? Those are all details. Again, you really want to make sure that you get into early on, not after you give the quote, so that way you're getting her engaged. Again, she may not laugh and joke with you and be all kinds of crazy, but at the very least, she does need to engage with you more, not just answer the questions. Now, the last thing to leave you with is she started talking about how her phone was going to die. She then started to talk about, well, I want to talk to my husband, and he's going to be home in 30 minutes. And then she said, oh, well, she made it sound like she was going to bring him on the line. All of these things were key indicators that she was trying to get him off the phone. She was trying to make excuses. Well, I can't pay for it. I won't be able to pay for it till Thursday. What he should have done was stop right there and address the issue. When she started talking about the phone thing, you start talking about how it's important to get this in place. Start honing in on the why, if you haven't, which you should by now. But you really should have the why, so that way you could really pound it into her head that it's important. Hey, look, let's go ahead and, I mean, who says that when you plug in your phone, you're not going to be able to hear me? I mean, yes, people have phone issues, but it seems a little odd. So, anyway, picking up on those little things can give you clues as to what they're trying to do, which I believe she was just trying to get him off the phone or give him reasons why she wasn't going to move forward. And that's where you need to address them rather than moving on with the quote. Okay, hey, look, it's important that we don't get halfway through this and you only get some of the numbers, and now you don't really know the full detail of everything. So why don't you do this? Why don't you go ahead and charge your phone, and I'll give you and your husband a call here in 30 minutes, so that way we can go over all the numbers together. And there's a specific reason why I'm actually recommending go ahead and schedule that follow-up. And that's because she is already talking about getting off the phone with you or losing you or whatever. You see, once they start making those excuses, you either find a way to keep them on, or you figure out how to pause the conversation, because as soon as she's got the numbers, she's got exactly what she wants. Maybe not exactly what she needs, but she'll feel like she got what she needs, and then you won't hear from her ever again. So worst case scenario, you just won't hear from her. But I like to take the position of, well, you don't deserve to get a quote from me if you're not willing to work with me. Why do you want to waste my time? That's extremely disrespectful to ask me to take the time out of my day to call you, have a conversation, and for you to just get what you want and leave. Just have that frame of mind. Look, I'm not going to up and give you the quote just because that's what you want. I like to not give the satisfaction of giving the quote and letting them know, hey, look, let's go ahead and schedule another call. But all things considered, some really great things that he did, and some action items for him to work on. With all that said, guys, drop a comment down below. Let the agent know that he did a great job. Also, do me a favor, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that way you get notified of all my videos in the future. We will see you guys in the next one.
Subscribe now to be a Fexpert. Do it.